Hi, I'm Ashley Swartz, CEO of Furious Corp. I'm so excited to get to be one of the inaugural videos for BeetCam. We're reimagining what our industry is right now in many ways, and I think globally we have to reimagine where we're going to be in the next month, given what's happening in the world. In preparing for this segment, thinking about the impact this coronavirus pandemic has on our industry in particular, and just kind of humanity and the global community, because I consider myself a global citizen. I thought, interestingly enough, not to make light of it, but at South by Southwest was canceled. One of the many cancellations that are deeply impacting our industry, along with many other conferences, the remote working situations of many of our colleagues now and clients. And I was thinking to myself, Austin's moniker, or Austin's sort of brand, is to keep Austin weird. And I think maybe it's living beyond itself, that it's about keep being media weird in general right now. That's kind of where we are. It's this very surreal moment. I mean, between the stock markets and what's happening, Broadway theater, creative places, probably museums soon shutting down, the things that inspire us and motivate us, and also speak to us as a community are changing, and they're gone like that. There's also an incredible impact with I think that we need to think about. There's an upside. We're going to be spending more time at home with our families, etc. And that perhaps mean more time spent consuming media, more time spent watching traditional media like television. But the reality is there's also some challenges and some risks we need to manage. And I really want to talk about those impacts today. So the other thing I sort of had to just find light in is it's WFH, work from home, right? But it's kind of more like WTF, because we as an industry have never done this, right? We sex sells, it's sizzle, it's the pitch theater, it's the excitement of that. That's what we do. We're face-to-face people, whether it's cocktail lunches, a la sort of Madison Avenue, where it's just actually presenting. It's the upfronts where sight, sound, and motion and stage and theater and theatrics are what actually move inventory and make a market every year. That's not, there are no longer tools in our arsenal to go forward with that. So we have to reimagine how we connect, how we do business, and most importantly, how we continue to serve our brands and our audiences and consumers. And so I really want to talk about that today. I've been running a company now, and this is my third or fourth go at kind of working from home, right? I've been running my company now for more than 6 years, all home. And we have a virtual organization in the US, distributed of senior people in 5 different states. We've actually been incredibly successful. And we found a way to build a culture. It's important. It's about culture and how we work together and how we connect, not just where we are when we're working or connecting and the tools that we're using, but actually we've created a culture around it. And for our organization, it's been very much so bottom up and part of our DNA, right? Our muscle memory is to work at a distance, but yet figure out a way to connect in a meaningful way, to do good business and to foster and ultimately infuse a creative process with goodness, even though we're not sitting side by side, right? So I think that's really important. I'm going to talk about that more next week as the madness kind of settles down. But right now, I just want to really focus on the fact that there is an immense opportunity for us right now as people, as individuals, as employees, as colleagues, to get shit done. Working from home and this sort of virtualized, reimagination of our industry can be an opportunity for us to immensely impact productivity in a positive way and to be more efficient. I serve huge clients every day, and I've worked in huge organizations. And although sometimes I really do miss the water cooler conversation, the water cooler conversation can go away. It doesn't have to. It can we can reimagine it with tools like Slack, other productivity and messaging apps. But the reality is that if you're not at the water cooler or prairie dogging above your desk in your cubicle or popping your head out of the office, the reality is there's a really good chance for you to use that time that you otherwise socialize with your colleagues to do more. And ultimately to end up doing more with less is an incredible, it's an incredible new day for us, right? So I want to talk about the good side of this, right? I think there's an incredible and immense opportunity for productivity. There's also an immense and incredible opportunity to sort of narrow cast the boundaries of work, right? We don't have commutes anymore. We don't have to get on the subway or, come into Grand Central in the morning and sort of wait in queue for a coffee. We can make it at home. That can become productive time. And ultimately, you can actually shrink your workday as a result and become more efficient. There's an opportunity for deeper collaboration, right? It's now to start, we're all going to have to become power users of all these amazing productivity and messaging tools we have in our arsenal, whether it's Zoom that we're using to actually create this video today, or it's Slack or Skype for Business, whatever it may be that you use. Ultimately, there is an arsenal and a toolkit that we have today that we didn't have even 5 years ago. And we should all really ramp up quickly and figure out how to use that to connect. Don't be remiss about using video. Video is critical. It's sight, sound, and motion. It's the cornerstone of our industry. So when you're talking about working from afar and at a distance, still being able to look someone in the face and see their affect and their smile instead of just hear their smile still goes a long way. And I completely encourage you to get comfortable with that. Don't lean into your mobile device and texting. It is not a way to do business. Period. Done. I don't care how old you are. I don't care that it's the norm and it's accepted. And you know what? Continue to use full sentence when you exchange emails on messaging. Use periods, use greeting, use salutations. Continue to use formality in how we communicate with one another, although you may be in a more casual environment when you're actually drafting these communications. The other thing that I think is so amazing about this sort of virtualized workplace, right? And this agile virtual kind of media industry we're in amidst us right now, right? For this next month, at least, I think, is that there actually is more one-to-one meaningful human connection. Because you're virtualized and you've sort of created these agile virtual networks, I actually personally end up checking in with my individual team members and colleagues every day, and my clients, in a way that I wouldn't if I shared space with them, like physical space and proximity, right? I have more substantive, meaningful dialogue because I'm reaching out to them with intention, and I'm reaching out to them in such a way that it is purpose-driven, and so there's more substance and more meaning in the communication, and ultimately we get more done together as a result. And it's a better human experience. If what comes out of this is being better humans, like that's the goodness of it, right? Let's look at this as an opportunity to connect more from a human perspective and make more, our conversations more meaningful and our interactions more meaningful. The last thing is that having been at large companies and now no longer at large companies, but working with large companies, is you actually have the opportunity to escape the meeting hell. You actually have an opportunity to be able to look at your calendar every day and maybe see some space, or like take a break to run to for a bio break or make lunch. And if you don't, make that time. Keep space in your calendar to make lunch. Keep space in your calendar to walk away, take a break, get outside, catch your breath, get rest, still do all those things, but actually you have much more control and autonomy in what your day looks like and you can make every minute matter, right? That's wonderful. It's also really empowering. There are some risks though. And I have to be honest, as an industry, particularly an industry that has so many young, sort of fresh out of college folks working in our agencies in particular, is I worry they're not going to have the support. And so the other thing I would suggest to you that is about risk management is make sure you continue to stay connected with those junior folks in your organization. They need support. They need guidance. They need to feel connected. They have not been equipped with a toolkit and sort of the life experience or the professional experience to go off on their own on an island and just continue to do their job every day. You need to actually give them time and support them in this process and this journey so we don't lose them ultimately and come out the other side better. All of us will if we do that. There's an opportunity, I think, that we may realize we didn't need all the travel and all the expense and all the dinners and all the shows and circumstances, the shows and the conferences and those things. That is actually a risk, right? So when you've taken this time and you're stepping away and you're working from home, when you went to a conference this time last year, instead of staying at home, what was valuable about it? Why was it valuable? Right? So think about, looking at when you actually were traveling, when you were visiting clients, when you were at conferences, what did you get from that you can't capture again at a distance? And if you come up empty, then I think you need to ask yourself some hard questions and be honest with that when you return to an office working environment and you start to talk to your management, or if you are the management, ask hard questions, right? But ultimately, if you miss them and there's something missing, capture it. Right? And the next time you go next year, when it's back to whatever the new normal is for us, make the most of those events, make the most of traveling, and don't take for granted the fact that you can get on an airplane and go visit your client, or you can go to Vegas for a trade show at any point in time and mix and mingle and do whatever that we do and all the privileges we have as an industry. I think that at the end of the day, the final risk is that we are going to we're going to sort of cut to a place where possibly we become a bit more recluse, and we as individuals within our industry, we maybe, we become a little bit more introverted because we're so distributed, or we feel a sense of camaraderie, or a sense of being part of something bigger or a team, and that excitement, it just permeates every facet of our value chain. I'm scared that might be dulled a little. And I really think that that's our shared responsibility to make sure that we maintain the excitement, the passion, the vigor about our industry, and we continue to push the agenda and innovation forward, because we can, and we can do it with less time and less output and less of a commute and cheaper cups of coffee because we can make it ourselves at home. So there's so many good things about this. And I really hope that we all look at this next month ahead of us at a minimum that we have, because it could be longer, as an opportunity to just reimagine how we work every day and make it better. And then when we come back at the end of it, our industry is better, our companies are better, and we're better contributors to our companies because of it. It's a conversation. So I'm going to spend some time over the weekend thinking about, what I've particularly done to make a culture that really thrives under a virtualized kind of work from home environment. And I plan to share those with you next week. I wish everybody health, goodness, and just well-being. So take care. And, when you get home tonight, or if you're already home, make sure everybody that shares your home knows you love them. Thanks.